line from Nairobi, Kenya for an update. Thank you very much for joining us, Sarah. Now, any new information coming from authorities that you've spoken to thus far?
Yes, the Ministry of Interior has sent out a statement indicating that at least 13 people have been killed, and also the African Union mission for Somalia, that is AMISOM, has condemned the attacks, and also the U.S. government, as well as the United Nations mission for Somalia, all of them are blaming it on the Shabaab militant group and saying that this for them is kicks of a dying horse, saying that Al-Shabaab has been diminished, and so what it's doing now is carrying out guerrilla-like attacks, which are only trying to prove that it's still relevant, and they're also linking this to the upcoming election, saying it is one of the ways of distracting the government and the attention of the people from the election, which is due for August this year.
Now, Sarah, we've also learned that flights at a nearby airport were halted after the attack. Have they been resumed?
Yes, they were halted momentarily during the time that police were combing both the airport and the African Union mission headquarters and the areas around the airport, that is the Aden Abdullah Airport, to see if indeed there were any explosives that had not detonated. But it has since been reopened and business has resumed. This is the main airport, also known as the Mogadishu International Airport. And so it's very busy because, as you might know now, with the AMISOM and the Somali National Army having managed to, restore order in the capital, Mogadishu, the airport has been busy with flights operating, including international flights from as far as Ankara, that is the capital of Turkey. And so immediately after the attack, it took about 4 hours and the airport was reopened for business.
Now, do you know what security arrangements are like following the attack? Are there perhaps any curfews?
Well, one of the thing is this where the attack happened is among the most fortified areas because it is next to the airport. It is also next just outside the gate of the African Union mission headquarters. So it is one of the most secure areas. And so as much as the security has been heightened, it is always one of the areas that have very heightened securities. What we know now is that the security ministry says that they will be carrying out intense patrols within the capital. Although because of the insecurity, there is not much movement that happens at night, as you would expect in an area where there is no chaos or where there is no conflict, as in what happens in Somalia. They said that they will be trying and weed out any remnants who may be planning to carry out any other attacks, either tonight or tomorrow.
Now, Sarah, you've just mentioned that this attack happened at the AU where it's very secure. Now, what does this mean for the AU? Is it a setback for them in terms of their mandate of working together with governments to eradicate such attacks?
Well, it's always a setback, and what has happened is since the beginning of this year, we have seen Al-Shabaab intensifying their attacks, especially against the African Union troops and the Somali National Army, at a time when the forces themselves are facing a cutback in terms of funding from the European Union, and also at a time when the Ugandan government has announced that it will be withdrawing its troops at the end of this year or at the end of 2017, meaning when such things happen, they discourage the Somali National Army and also the morale of the troops that will probably remain in the country. But also, according to Ambassador Madeira of the African Union, for them, the work continues, and they say that they will continue, and they insist that they are winning and that these are the remnants of the Al-Shabaab that are remaining. Remember, Al-Shabaab was chased out of Mogadishu, and what they have been doing is that they have been trying to carry out such kind of attacks because it would be difficult for them to resume Mogadishu completely and be able to take control like what they have done within the areas of the south central Somalia. But in Mogadishu, the capital, they have been carrying out such attacks. But when it happened to the forces, it of course disillusions the citizens who are now, especially in Mogadishu, taking life back to normal.
Sarah, perhaps a good way to wrap up would be to look at what authorities are doing in terms of the investigations. Anything new coming out there?
Well, we still do not know what investigations will entail, but the Somali Interior Ministry, again, in that statement saying that investigations have been opened, and also the African Union forces in Somalia, AMISOM, also saying that they have launched investigations to understand just how there was a security breach at that time that it happened.
We'll have to leave it there, Sarah. Thank you very much for that update. That was Sarah Kimani, our East Africa correspondent, joining us on the line from Nairobi, Kenya for the latest on Somalia.